Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Chris Bovard, and I'm from Western Canada. I've been working with Drupal since 2007. Specifically, I have a background in back-end development, different languages, different stresses. I do enjoy working with Drupal, but in recent years, it has gotten complicated and lost market share to WordPress, which I'll get into. Has anybody here ever used Drupal or heard of Drupal? Had problems with Drupal? Pardon?
Heard of it, but haven't.
Yeah, okay. Again, okay, hello. See. As I've been to other conferences, it always bugged me when I had to type in URLs. So this is who I am. If you want to stalk me, if you have Drupal questions, I'll do my best to help. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Okay. Why would you use Drupal today? What would be the point if only one person in here has used it and another person's heard of it? That's basically was the biggest question I had when I wanted to do this presentation. I'm actually asking myself why I use it sometimes. In this modern web world, why not choose one of the big no-code solutions, or use another solution, or build your own custom thing? These are the other solutions that require no code, easy to use. Small businesses can spin stuff up quickly, get them out the door. You know, doesn't cost a ton of money in hosting. Well, sometimes Shopify does if you want to start doing a lot of transactions. Excuse me. So let's get into this. So what I do have clients that use Shopify recently. They moved from WordPress to Shopify. The reason why, they're a small business climbing shop in my hometown, and they can't afford a massive e-commerce system like Magento. Drupal commerce is a beast. I have experience with that. It doesn't really, Drupal doesn't fit the solution for a lot of small businesses anywhere. So I suggested they go to Shopify, get rid of their WordPress site, but they're having problems, which means they want to be able to blog, and they can't update their content, so their SEO ranking is going to go down. So it's proprietary. They're not happy. I don't know what to say to them, Okay, let's go to the next slide. The biggest question. Why not just use WordPress for your website? I actually do have WordPress clients. I do not like working on their sites. It's a mess. I find it's a mess. You need a plugin that does an XML site map, which one you're going to download, which one you're going to install, who wrote the code, where is it coming from, Recent events with the WordPress drama, my take on it is the owner of WordPress is not happy that people are using his name and he's not making money, and all the code is spread across the internet. When I took on these WordPress clients, it actually pays pretty well, and the owner of the company loves to go and start a WordPress. He likes to buy a domain, he likes to point it and click a button and install WordPress. But when I've gone into his array of 20 travel sites, I'm starting to notice the same thing over and over with the plugins. He's got the Yoast plugin. He's got a image, I installed a free image converter for WebP, and I started to notice all these different plugins. Even the backup plugin he pays a subscription for. So, excuse me, I'm a little rattled. Too much coffee. How much money a month is he paying? So we actually turned off one of these websites, and I messaged him and said, did you know that you're not using this website? Are you still paying subscription fees for these plugins? And he's like, oh, I am. So he saved him a little bit of money there. Would he go to Drupal? Probably not, because he likes to click install WordPress. Okay. Oh, we're getting deep. Why not a headless site using contentful, strappy sanity for your website? Well, let's see what the next slides say. Well, I took a year off work and I started to learn a lot of new things because I was stuck in this Drupal sphere and knowing what I call the one-trick pony of that and Magento. I don't put that I know Magento on my LinkedIn profile because I would never want to work on Magento again. But I saw companies that I did work for in the past, like going back almost 20 years, move from Drupal to WordPress to Contentful and Sanity. And one of their lead developers was like, oh, you gotta get into this Sanity and we can plug it into a Shopify and we have this headless front end that we built in Vue or Next.js or whatever tech stack they used. And then so I was like, okay, yeah, this sounds cool. So I started looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute. The code is on Sanity and Contentful. It's proprietary. So you're paying subscriptions again, so you'll never actually own the code. So at some point, what happens if you want to get your data out? Do they have an export to Excel or CSV? Can you get your images? Who knows? Would they charge you for it? So I kind of dived into Strappy.js, and it was pretty cool, you know, I liked it. It was kind of neat, you know, but I found when I started to get really deep into the content types or entities, kind of doing relationships, I had a hard time. And it didn't kind of quite do what I wanted it to do, so I ended up coming back to Drupal. So, what is Drupal? This is what Drupal is. Drupal is a powerful open source content management system. You know, I'm not going to read through it, but basically this is it's based on Symfony. In the background, you're using Composer, PHP package manager, which is similar to Node package manager, but a little different. It is open source, so everything's online, all the modules. In the past, companies have tried to create modules to sell, and they've lost money because people just don't buy their modules and create their own. But recently, I've been seeing modules built for Drupal that end up using an exterior API you got to pay subscriptions for. So they're trying to kind of lock their code down a little bit, but basically this is it. So, why is Drupal the right choice for your next CMS or API? Well, when I made this slide, I do love Drupal, but I'm not quite sure it is after talking to some people here over the last few days, because the end result is it's kind of hard to set up. Well, it's obviously free, and you can get everything you want for it, but out of the box, it's kind of hard to set up. So this is a marketing slide I took from Drupal to kind of take some of their content, and that's the Drupal stats, as we can see. I'm not sure where I fall into that. Okay. So if you want to go to Drupal, there's your QR code. Okay, so we're going to get into the side of let's try to install Drupal. Last year, about a year ago, there's the lead Drupal project, the man who created it, he's based out of Belgium, and for many years I've been watching his keynotes, and I finally went to a DrupalCon and feel like I'm being negative about it a bit, but he really wishes he had the WordPress market share. He just loves to make Drupal more like WordPress for the content management side of things, for the content. People that are logging in, they can manage content, there's workflows, everything. So he realized they were losing the market share, and why? Because it's hard to use and hard to get running. So they came up with a new version, this version. It was named Starshot, but they changed it to Drupal CMS. So you have the core version that doesn't have anything really installed except the first user and maybe one page. So they came up with a different version where they wanted to have recipes, where you could select different recipes that would have the modules, like for a blog recipe, an accessibility recipe, an SEO recipe, so you don't have to find these modules in the Drupal sphere and know which options to click, set up, and everything. As I just explained. Again. Okay, we have a download that didn't turn into a link, but the QR code works. Okay, so when you go to that link, you come to this page, and I actually just tried this on my VPS, and it does work. But I also have Composer installed on my VPS, and I also have PHP 8.3, and I also have MySQL 8.0, but you can also use Postgres and SQLite. So when you get to this page, it kind of gives you some instructions, and you can obviously go to the core to download, or you can go to Drupal CMS. There is links, excuse me, to get going, and then they talk about DDEV. And what DDEV is DDEV is based on Docker, and it actually, once you get it up and running, it's actually pretty slick. They do have different DDEV quick starts for different PHP applications, and I think there's like a Node.js one, and off the ground running, you're pretty good to go to test stuff, to get stuff running locally. I've used Lando, what else have I used? Vagrant, Doxil, LAMP, XAMPP, you know, everything. When you have like 30 different sites on your laptop or your computer, you kind of need to use Docker or something similar. So there's the QR codes for that. I was going to go through an install, but I'm going to kind of see if I can. Sorry about the wait. Do I even have internet? Okay. Will it load? You guys gonna install Drupal after this, aren't you? So once you actually get into, when you install it locally and you follow the instructions, you will kind of be brought to a screen like this. Or it might change by the time you get it, because if you actually look at the URL, this was actually called recipes. So I got confused because I thought they were called recipes, but now they're not. So I don't have anything installed on here. So let's install a couple things. I'm gonna install a blog. Hopefully it's fast. Actually, hopefully it works. And maybe not. And there we go. And I'm actually going to install this. This one here, this suite of modules that this uses with WordPress will probably cost you about $40 a month USD. And to configure it and have it set up is actually a PETA, a pain in the ass. So we'll see if it actually installs. Jeopardy song. And it's installed. So let's go take a look at some content and see. There should be some demo content. Perfect. Let's take a look at this one. So this is what we got, some test content. We have URL pathing, which is Nice. And let's do a Lighthouse report. Now, I know a lot of people will talk about Lighthouse and say, you know, you can't depend on it or Google Insights, but clients and marketing people that I've worked with love it. And they kind of use it as a benchmark. So if you can score on this, somewhat green, and this is a PHP-driven MySQL site, then something's working. They've actually figured it out. That's my opinion, because that's what the end client is going to kind of look at if they can. I do have other things I could talk about looking at all the different slides I have. But what I'm going to show you is probably, I just discovered this last week. And I'm going to show you guys this in action, because I think this is the best part of the demo. I've worked on a lot of multi-language sites in the last 20 years, and translations has always been a problem. I've gotten Excel sheets, PDFs of different languages, working for different multi-language sites. One thing that is good about Drupal is it does handle internationalization very well, because the lead project man is from Belgium, so you know he wanted international use. For different languages in the string translations in the CMS, for most languages, it is there. And you have string overrides where, you know, if you don't see the right word in your language, you can replace it. My approach in the past with earlier versions is if the translation wasn't there, then I'd have to use some kind of code, and I'll actually use JavaScript to replace things. But the modern version, you don't have to, and it's better. So let's see what, I think I have a piece of demo content on here. Yes. So I'll go into this news item. Seeming this conference is a lot about AI. So I created this when I drank a lot of coffee earlier. That's why I sound rattled. And we'll go into the Translate tab. Now I'm currently working on a menu system built in Drupal that's a headless API spitting out JSON to a Next.js 15 internationalization kiosk app. And I don't have this set up on this site for translations from Denmark to Dutch and French and Thai. So it doesn't, oh, and it didn't appear. Well, that is not good. Something is going on. Hello. And we're there. Okay. Well, let's go to this page then. So I installed the accessibility recipe because I just wanted to see it in action. I personally think this is a pain, but it's part of the free module. And let's go to Translate. This is just a demo page. So, as you can see, I've already translated one to Thai. In earlier versions of Drupal, that does not appear. But they have a suite of an AI module, API, where you can plug in a Claude API key or ChatGPT key. And so when I got this going last week, I actually flipped out how easy this was. Hopefully it works. Please work. I'm using 4.0. Yeah. You can pick different models in the setup page. We won't get deep into that because I'm sure if I had a beer and we could hang out here for 3 hours, we could set it up and go through everything and give you some code, but it's beyond the scope of 25 minutes. And we'll translate the Hindi. But you can pick your agent, then you can pick your model. I had a hard time setting it up actually because I had an older API key in ChatGPT AI and it didn't work. So Drupal has a Slack many Slack channels, and they're really trying to push this with content translation. There's actually plugins in this module to help you out with content and find accessibility issues, but I didn't turn that on yet. I figured this demo is good enough. Hopefully it works. There we go. So, I think minus the translations in the past to set this up would have been, I used to like, I don't know, a week of click, click, click site building and testing and making sure the URLs and everything is handled right. So, what we'll do, this is the best way to do it. I did show this to somebody who speaks Hindi, and he was looking for faults, and he did find a few. So there is a content flow moderation. You can make different roles and groups, and have somebody send an email to make sure it's the right language and it's the right flow. But in the past, this would take days of emails back and forth. And I kind of think that is going to be the end. So yeah, so when you do install it with DDEV, you'll come to this screen. My suggestion is to skip it or try it out, get through it. You'll come to this recipes page. The internationalization isn't a recipe, and I was kind of wondering why. And because they are not cognizant on what languages will be installed. But what I might do, another part of Drupal, all this config that's not content, because content is something different in Drupal, can be exported as YAML files. And what I might do with this site is I'll try to export everything, and I tried to, but it kept exporting my API key for ChatGPT and get it out so you guys can download it and with the DDEV and give it a go. And yeah, if you have questions, find me, stalk me, and yeah.
Okay, anyone has any question about Drupal for Mr. Chris?
Hosting.
Yes.
And I will have a link to the slides.
Cool.
Any questions?
Any questions? We have time for maybe one short one. Okay, if not, Mr. Chris has also uploaded his slides on Event.ye, so that's also another place you can check it out. Of course, always feel free to connect with him, right?
Anytime. Yeah. I don't mind helping out. If you run into a problem, I can give a hand. I will try to put that multi-language site up here and make it public and working. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chris. Yeah.